that first year, I think it was Ralph who came and talked to the band director there and was trying to get people into it. I was too young because my birthday's in the summer, and I was too young to meet their limit. They wanted you to be 12, and I was 11. And so my mom called the boys club and begged them to make an exception because they took Jeff right away, and he's a year older. And so I really wanted to do it. And I was a saxophone player at that point. I played sax in the band. I'd never touched a brass instrument, but I really wanted to try. And so I did. And my mom convinced them to let me try, because what the heck. Yeah, it was just, trying to get kids to participate.
1972, it was merely students off the street who needed something to do, and they had instructors there who would teach us the basics, and it seemed kind of fun. Of course, I was 13 years old at the time, so anything would be fun, but I decided to stay around.
And I was a legacy member. My father marched with the founders of the Bluecoats in the VFW Corps in Canton in the late 30s before they went off to World War II. So to me, being shoved on the bus when I was 13 was part of growing up and never even looked back. Yeah, and the differences between today and then were pretty drastic. I often talk about the fact that there were times in the 70s that we had jobs in the summer and we were responsible for only coming on weeknight rehearsals and every weekend and not be sequestered away for 3 or 4 months of the summer. But we also were a community-based organization that practiced every Tuesday and Sunday. We would see people all the time. We were friends.
Back in 1978, tour was really not part of the drum corps vernacular as it is today. For us, shows were primarily on weekends, so trips were much shorter back in 1978 and 1970s as compared to what it is today. Tour back in 1978, for us, for me at the time, it was the longest trip I'd ever taken. It was 10 days, and it took us from Canton, and it culminated in Denver that year at DCI.
We had never played before. We had never done this before. We knew nothing, and we just wanted to try. And so that's what we did.
78 Corps was a really strong corps. Drum line was strong, horn line was strong and loud, guard line was really good. And we had a great summer, had a great season. Came back for the 79 season only to find out that the Corps was going to fold because of financial reasons. Most of the Corps came back from 78. There was a lot of excitement in the air, and pretty much we were told to sit down in the gymnasium, the Corps, at that Corps camp, and was told by Tom Giacomedes that the funds were just not there to fill the Corps in 79. So a lot of broken hearts, and basically everybody just kind of packed up and gave everybody a hug and just kind of went on their way.
In late winter, early spring of 1979, it was decided the Bluecoats would not field a competing corps that season. The Corps did hold innovations in brass that year, and the most riveting evidence of the Bluecoats' absence from the field was in the competitive program itself. A photograph of an empty football field was above the Bluecoats' name and history with an explanation as to why the Corps wasn't in competition that season. By late fall of 1979, the Bluecoats returned to their Police Boys Club rehearsal hall. With dedicated directors still at the helm and a small nucleus of members with pride and determination, the Corps fought its way back to the competitive field in the summer of 1980. The Bluecoats return.
They reached out to me looking for, somebody young to be on the staff because it was a lot of old folks. I think the fade that happened in 1982 was people were just not as enamored with what was happening and how things were going, and they couldn't relate to the staff as well and all of that kind of stuff because Tom Giacomedes stepped away, and they had new people in a new location. I think it was called Galen Hall in Massillon or whatever it was. It was a rundown, disgusting old grade school building, and we used that as our core hall, and it was really a horrible conditions. And so everything pretty much was clearly going downhill during that time, and we fought really hard to keep it together throughout '82. We did the best that we could do to keep things going, and it was really quite the challenge.